Hi everybody, welcome to the session. I'm doing a session on the CAT papers and going forward in the last month. What becomes absolutely important is to make sure that you know the CAT questions inside out, the triggers, reactions of those CAT questions. So I'm doing the session, calling it a marathon, but and we scheduled the session for almost 3-4 hours. But let's see, I'll first complete the CAT 21st slot 3 today. उसको पूरा complete करेंगे और उसके बाद I'll take sessions going forward tomorrow, day after also with the batch in which we'll be doing the other year's papers and also to the YouTube audience who's live today. Welcome to the session. So without any further ado, let me just start the screen share, and we'll start without wasting any more time. We'll just be focusing on questions and solving these questions. So this is the first question of CAT 24 slot 3. एंड इन क्वेश्चंस को करते समय मतलब एक चीज़ और हम लोग एनालाइज करेंगे कि मतलब पूरे पेपर में एक चीज़ जो मैं बताता हूँ तुम लोग को, विच आई टेल ऑल ऑफ यू ऑल द टाइम, इज दैट व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग अ पेपर, व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग अ मॉक टेस्ट, especially the quant section, you should divide your section into 4 slots of 10 minutes each. 4 slots of 10 minutes each, and in every slot you split your paper, 22 questions, you split your paper as 6 5 6 5, and what you do is in the first 10 minutes you go through the first 6 questions, scan through the first 6 questions, and decide which is the first one you want to do, which is the second one you want to do, which is the third one you want to do, which is the fourth one you want to do. How comfortable are you looking at these questions? So So if I scan for the first 10 minutes, the scan should be barely 20-30 seconds. So when I look at this as a solver for myself, I'm pretty comfortable with this kind of question. ये वाला question बहुत clear नहीं हो रहा है मेरे को क्या करना है, तो maybe I'll put it towards the end of this. This question, this is the third question. I feel pretty confident of doing this question. This also looks pretty doable. The fourth one, the fifth is a Venn diagram question. I think I can do this pretty easily. And the sixth is a number systems remainder theorem question. So this is a pretty, I mean, I can make out that this actually is a very simple question. So rather than going 1 to 6, I think I will first do the 6 questions straight. So 10 raised to 68 divided by 13. They want the remainder. Now, using the principle that a raised to p minus 1 upon p, the remainder is 1. There's a theorem in number systems where p is a prime number. You know that 10 raised to 12 upon 13 will give you a remainder 1. Or 10 raised to 12 upon 13 remainder 1 देगा अगर आपको. तो automatically you realize that is 68 को अगर हम लोग, if we structure this as 10 raised to 12 raised to 5 into 10 raised to 8 upon 13, and then I take remainder theorem on this whole part will give me a remainder 1. And after that, I'm basically trying to find the remainder of 10 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10, 8 times divided by 13. So what I can simply do is 10 square is 100. 100 divided by 13 becomes 9. So each of the two tens that I've sorted now will become 9 each when I take remainder theorem. So on this, if I take remainder theorem, I end up getting 9 into 9 into 9 into 9, 4 times. I get 9 into 9 into 9 into 9, 4 times divided by 13. And this is 81 divided by 13. 81 divided by 13 gives me 3 as the remainder. 81 divided by 13 gives me 3 as the remainder. So my net remainder is 9 upon 13, which is 9. And I have got my answer. So I'm starting on a strong note by doing this question right at the start. I have absolutely no doubts about this question and the solving, if I'm solving this paper for myself. And maybe this would be the 1 to 1.5 minute point for me while doing this question, and I'm done with 3 marks already. So I'll not go back uh, to to uh, uh, to other questions, to question 7. I'll not go forward to question 7 or so on. I might pick up a question like question 3 next, because this sounds very, very simple to me, because this is a trigger I recognize, because this is used many times in the CAT. And a plus b root 3 whole square is essentially a square plus b square, 3b square plus 2ab root 3. And they have told us that this is equal to 52 plus 30 root 3. And 2ab is equal to 30, because if I compare like terms on both sides, this part has to become 52 and this part has to become 30 root 3. So the root 3 is matched here. So 2ab is 30. So AB is 15. And they're telling me that AB are natural numbers. So I only have 115, 3553 or 15, 1 to check. And obviously, when when I see that a square plus 3b square has to be only 52, I can immediately rule out 15, 1 and 115. And if I go with 3, 5 or 5, 3, at 5, 3, I see 25 plus 3 into 9, that's 27. So 52 matches, which means 5 and 3 are the values of A and B. And that means the question is asking us the value of A plus B. So the value of A plus B is 8. So that's the correct answer to this question. And this would be done. I mean, one would finish this by approximately the 3-minute point. And now I'm sitting on 2 attempts where I'm sure of the answer out of my first 6 questions. I'm sitting on the first 2 questions. One sec. I'm sitting on the first 2 questions, on 2 questions already, out of the first 6 questions. I'm sitting on 6 marks. And trajectory wise, even if I don't solve a single question further here, and I can maintain 6 marks across my 4 10-minute periods, I'm heading to 24 marks already at this point. So I'm quite sure that I'll get 24 marks at least in this paper. And that's how you're think. Essentially, if you can split your your attempt into 4 innings of 10 minutes each, the net score you will get will essentially be the sum of what you score in each slot. So I would be typically at the 3-minute point at this, and my focus while solving the paper is always going to be, okay, how do I maximize these 6 questions or these 5 questions? I've split my paper as 6-5, 6-5. My focus is how do I maximize my score in these 10 minutes with these 6 questions? What is my go-to approach here? So if I go back to the first question, this first question is a modulus question, and इसमें जो thought process है कि मेरे पास एक modulus है और उसमें मैं दूसरा modulus कर रहा हूँ, right? That's the thought process I have here. Just give me a second. I just need to. We're also live on YouTube here. So I just wanted to start YouTube on my machine so that I can see comments coming there. Right. So we are done with these 2 questions. So I can see your comments on YouTube also, and people doing the Zoom class with me. Please make sure that you are communicating as we keep going ahead. So now, when you have a modulus plus another modulus equals 2, you have one modulus plus another modulus equals 2. A modulus value is never negative, right? So it is always 0 or positive. So I have only three structures of solutions which I can think here. 2 plus 0, 1 plus 1, or 0 plus 2. So in x plus y plus x minus y mod equals 2, I'm first looking for the 2 plus 0 solution. And they are saying distinct integer solutions. That means x and y, they can never be negative, they can never be decimal values. They are going to be integer solutions. So I'm not looking for a 1.5, 0.5 kind of a value here. So when I start this, one thing is very obvious, इसको 2 बनाना है और इसको 0 बनाना है, तो 1 1 पे 2 ये हो जाएगा और ये 0 हो जाएगा. This will become 2 and this will become 0 at 1 1. And likewise at minus 1, this will become 2 and this will become 0. So I've got two solutions at 2 0. Likewise, when I go for 0 2, I want x plus y to be 0. That means x and y have to take opposite values. So if I take a value like 1 minus 1, then this will become 0. Right? And on this side, x1 and y minus 1 is going to be a value of 2. So I'm able to identify 1 minus 1 as a solution. And likewise, I should be able to visualize minus 1 1 as a solution here. Because at minus 1 1, as far as I keep the values of x and y integral and opposite to each other, positive, negative, the value of this will come out to be 0. And I just need to ensure that this comes out as 2. So if I use x as minus 1 and y as plus 1, so the modulus, inside the modulus, I'm getting minus 2, which will become, when I open the modulus, it will become plus 2. So this is fine. So I'm able to find two solutions for 2 0, two solutions for 0 2. And then I'm looking for how many more solutions exist for 1 1. Integer, everything is integer. So to make 1, I can use 1 0. This is 2. I can use 0 1. This is also 2. I can use minus 1 0. And this is something, I mean, this kind of thinking, what values you can intuitively fill in. This thinking is something that you should have discovered through the work you have done in problem solving on modulus questions, right? So minus 1 0 and 0 minus 1 are the four values that you will get. So you had you can see that all these four cases, you get a value of 2 on this side. And apart from 2 0 1 1 and 0 2, there's not going to be any other solution. The moment one of these modulus becomes more than 2, then there's no way to get the value back down to 2. So you cannot really look for anything else. Hence, the correct answer to this question should be 8 solutions. 2 solutions for 2 0, 2 solutions for 0 2, and 4 solutions for 1 1. So that's this thing. Thanks for that, Sahil. I have tried to ensure that my books are as contemporary as required for the CAT, and we do a lot of work on inside the books to make sure that they're absolutely up to date with the latest trends and with the latest patterns of the exam. So coming back to the next question. This question requires a bit of mathematical knowledge. And what this question is yeah, we are solving the entire quants in today's session, the entire quants paper of CAT 24. No, our mocks are not necessarily more difficult. I mean, they're randomized. Some will be a little bit more difficult than others, but it's not necessary that mock 18 will be more difficult than 15. So let's go on. Let's go through this. So this third question is specifically built on a specific mathematical concept, and that concept basically is a1x plus b1y is equal to z, a2x plus b2y, a system of two linear equations, is equal to z1 is equal to z2, or you can think of this as c1 and c2. Then for this to be not having any solution for xy, for this to be not having any solution for xy, the condition is a1 by a2 should be equal to b1 by b2 and should not be equal to c1 by c2. This is the condition. So if you know that condition, this is a simple question. नहीं पता है वो inside the exam, पता है, you know that, but it does not strike you. So I can write out this question in my attempt or maybe in your attempt. But the other three questions were completely logical. You could do that on your own without without any specific mathematical knowledge, just focusing on the triggers and reactions inside the question, right? So coming back, let's go further into this question. What is happening inside this question? So if I use the logic of which I just explained, the expression we get is p by 3 is equal to minus 4 by k is not equal to 2 by a. Now, if I look at the options, this option connects a and k. This option connects a and p. This option also connects a and p. And this fourth option connects k and p. So we can check if I'm checking for a and k, for example. So I need to, for checking for a and k, I need to catch hold of this expression. And when I look at that expression, I get minus 4a not equal to 2k. If I divide by 2 right through, I'll get minus 2a not equal to k, or 2a plus k not equal to 0. And I get my solution. This has to be the answer. Because if I check for AP from here, I use p by 3 not equal to 2 by a. I get AP not equal to 6, or AP minus 6 not equal to 0. So both these options go away. And likewise, yeah, I'll be doing, I've been promising the LRDI program. I'll be doing 7 consecutive days of LRDI, which will most probably I'll start from tomorrow. So वो मैं करूँगा. I'll choose 7 high quality sets and do those over 7 days, so that it helps you improve your thinking in this thing. And this month I'm also conducting arithmetic and algebra workshop live. This is on 13, 14, 15 November, and this is 16, 17, 18 November. So these will be, I mean, we'll provide the link in the comments in the description of this video, and you can enroll for those programs. Of course, for the Mindworkzz and the Arun Sharma Academy students, that is part of the program. So you've been able to recognize this as the answer. So this is how you solve this question. Please, if you do not know that trigger, one of the things you have to do during your preparation is every CAT question of the past years, whose triggers and reactions, what are the triggers and reactions in those questions, you have to intuitively know them. You have to memorize them, you have to know them, because the most important aspects of what CAT is asking you is what it has asked will be based on what it has asked you in the past years. So every question का triggers reactions you have to know. तो ये trigger और ये reaction नहीं पता था, two linear simultaneous linear equations का no solution trigger reaction, you should know them, right? You don't need to bother about what the mathematical theorem is and what name it is. You should just know कि okay, ऐसा होता है. This is what happens. So coming back, a circular plot of land is divided into two regions by a chord length 10 root 3 meters. Okay, so we have a circular land, and this is divided into two regions by a chord. And this chord is 10 root 3 meters. And such that the chord subtends an angle of 120 degrees at the center. So let's just keep reacting to what they are telling us. It is subtending an angle of 120 degrees at the center. So that means this angle is 120. The area in square meters of the smaller region. That means they're looking for the area of this region, because the chord has divided the circle into this part and this part. So they're asking us for the smaller part, this region, the area of this region. So this internal part is 120, and immediately you should realize that the 30, 60, 90 triangle is at play. If the angle at the center is 120, it means this angle is 60. And from the center, if you draw the perpendicular, that will bisect the chord into two segments of 5 root 3. And this will be 30. And for a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the principle is side opposite 30. If it is x, the side opposite 60 is x root 3. And the side opposite 90 is 2x. Those are the ratios. So given that you know the side opposite 60 is 5 root 3, you can work out the side opposite 30 is 5. And the side opposite 90 is 10. So you get the radius of the circle as 10. And essentially, when you're trying to talk about the area of the smaller part, essentially the area is done by what? It's done by the area of the segment of this sector of the circle minus the area of this triangle. Will give you the area of this. So the sector being 120 degrees, so its area will be 1/3 the area of the circle. So this is going to be, since R is 10, this is going to be 100 pi by 3. That's the area of this sector of the circle. And then out of that, you want to subtract the area of the triangle. So the area of the triangle is a base, half base into height. It's got a base of 10 root 3 and a height of 5. So this is 25 root 3. So 100 by 3, 100 pi by 3 minus 25 root 3. We will be launching that just come back to this video by tonight or tomorrow. You will get the link to purchase it. The arithmetic and algebra workshops, the revision workshops. So anyway, coming back, so we now trying to look for which of these options fits in. तो इसमें अगर देखें तो 25 कॉमन बाहर निकाल सकते हैं. We can take out 25 common. So 25, if I take common, this is 4 pi by 3 and this is minus root 3. So I'm able to spot option C as the right answer. So you can actually see that, if I look at the depth of each of these questions, the depth of this question, modulus, if you've done 20, 30 questions on modulus, you should be able to do this. This question is a very specific mathematical knowledge question. So I'm okay if you did not come across this during your preparation and you only came to it when you were preparing with the previous year questions. At that point, you saw that. You integrate the trigger and reaction. Okay, I know this now. Next time I'll know that this specific logic works. This is again something anybody who's done algebra 200, 250, 300 questions should be able to sort this out. This one again, mensuration, 100, 150 questions in mensuration should help you sort this out and you know the theory. And this one, of course, number systems. If you've done one round of number systems, you should get this question. So you can actually, as you go through your first 6 questions, You also get a feel of how difficult or how easy the paper is. You also get a feel of how difficult or how easy the paper is. And so we come back and to this question. And this is an interesting question. A bit of intelligence required to solve a question like this, but nothing that you can't do. So in a group of 250 students, the percentage of girls was at least 44% and at most 60%. So the girls is minimum 44% and maximum 60%. So the number of girls is in this range. And the rest of the students are boys. So the boys would range from 56% to 44%, to 40%. This is the minimum boys, this is the maximum girls, this is the minimum girls, this is the maximum boys. Then they move to telling us about a Venn diagram situation, and that's what you have to visualize here. 50% of the boys and 80%, this information. 50% of the boys and 80% of the girls opted for swimming, while 70% of the boys and 60% of the girls opted for running. So you have to be able to understand here that you are going to make a Venn diagram for girls and a Venn diagram for boys. When you make the Venn diagram for girls, if you think in percentage for the girls, let's forget the number of students for the time being. If you think about percentage, swimming and running for the girls, 80% of the girls opted for swimming and 60% of the girls opted for running. That's coming from here. So both swimming and running will be 40% of the girls, because overall this plus this plus this has to be 100. And it's why it has to be 100 is because it's specifically mentioned here that each student opted for swimming or running or both. That means there's nobody who did not opt for anything. So you get this as 40% of the girls opt for swimming and running. And even without knowing what they're asking you, you get that outcome. And when you go to the boys swimming and running, it is said that 50% of the boys opted for swimming, 70% of the boys opted for running. It means 20% of the boys did both swimming and running, because that will be how this 50 and 70 will rationalize to 30 here, only swimming 30, swimming running 20, and running 50. Likewise, this 40 will split this as 40 and 20. So that's how the 100 will happen. Now, once that is done, the question is asking us minimum and maximum possible number of students who opt for swimming. Now, swimming and running both. Now, swimming and running both is defined by 40% of the girls plus 20% of the boys. So you should be able to realize at this point that if you maximize the number of girls, minimize the number of boys, this value will get maximized. So the number of girls is 60% and number of boys is 40%. That means 60% of 250 is 150 girls and boys is 40, is 100 in that case. 40% of the boys, 40% of boys, so 20% of 100. So the total people who like swimming and running both in this case is 60 plus 20, and that is coming out to be 80. So this is the maximum value. And you can confirm your answer by going for the minimization. When you go for the minimization, you use this numbers. 44% girls out of 250 will mean 110 girls. 56% boys will mean 140 boys. And 40% of 110 plus 20% of 140 is equal to 44 plus 28, and that's 72. And so minimization is 72, maximization is 80. So this is how you get through this question. So you are done with the first 6 questions in this session. So we move to the next 5, right? So we move back to the next 5. And again, when I go to the next 5, I will choose my battle. Which one should I battle first? 7th, 8th looks very simple. 9th looks simple. 10th, uh, taking out and putting back water in. 11th also looks simple. It's this thing. So the easiest question that is visible to me is question 8 on an immediate basis. The 7th also looked okay, but I'm not sure of what particular trigger reaction in geometry will be required here. But this one is actually a cakewalk, because what this question tells us, after 2 successive increments, Gopal's salary becomes 187.5% of his initial salary. If the percentage of salary increase in the second increment was twice that of the first increment, then the first salary increase in the first increment was. So all you have to do is plug in the option. And if you plug in 25, you will see 25% increase on salary will make it 125. And the second is double that, 50% increase on salary will make it 187.5. And that means this matches the number. If you pick up any wrong option, it will not match the 187.5, and hence option C is the right answer. And this is pretty much a read and solve question. It's pretty clearly visible what to do here. So time and work, favorite area, arithmetic, something that you control. So you come back to time and work, and when you look at this question, inside this question, what is happening? Sam can complete a job in 20 days. Let's react to the triggers and keep reacting to the triggers when working alone. Mohit is twice as fast as Sam. So Mohit will take 10 days to do the same job, and thrice as fast as Aina in the same job. So Aina will take 30 days because Mohit is twice as fast as Sham, means Mohit takes half the time. Thrice as fast as Aina means he'll take one third the time. So Aina's time is 60 days, is 30 days. So if I take my total work as 60 using the LCM approach, the work rates in units for Sham will be 3, Mohit will be 6, and Aina will be 2. These will be the numbers on for their individual work rates per day. Now they undertake a job with an arrangement. So this is pretty much down our stream of thinking, because we are completely in control of this question. So they undertake a job with an arrangement that Sam and Mohit work together on the first day. Sam and Aina work on the second day. Make sure that you get all this correct if required. Don't try to do this orally. And Mohit and Aina on the third day. And this 3-day pattern is repeated till the work gets completed. So this is how it continues. So when we look at Sam and Mohit, for example, so Sam and Mohit, the total work done on the first day is 9. I know that I have to finish 60 units of work. So on the first day, the total work done is 9. Sam and Aina, the total work done is 5. Mohit and Aina, the total work done is 8. So on the first 3 days, 22 units of work will get done. The next 3 days, 22 units of work will get done. The next day, the 7th day, 9 units, 8th day, 5 units. So 44 here, 53, 58. And on the last day, 8 units of work will get done if the full day is done. But we only need 2 units. So the work will get completed here. So we go back to the question to see what it's asking us. And when you go into the question to see what it's asking you, the question is asking the total work, fraction of total work done by Sam. So we really don't need to work out, because Sam is not working on this day. So we don't need to work out about Sam on this day. We can just focus on Sam having worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 days. So Sam has worked for 6 days. His work rate is 3. So his work done is 18 out of 60, which is 3 by 10 of the, as a fraction, it is 3 by 10 of the work. And hence option B is the right answer. So question 9 went off pretty smoothly. And you have started, even if you got through 4 questions in the first slot of 6 questions, and you got, I mean, as I said, see, when you enter the CAT, the advantage of 4 innings, of playing 4 different innings rather than playing only 1 innings in the paper, is the advantage of playing 4 innings rather than playing only 1 innings in the paper, is that you also get an idea of where you're heading to score-wise. So, for example, you start with a target, okay, I want to score 40 plus marks in the exam. So if you start with that target, and in the first 10 minutes, I mean, in every 10 minutes, you need to score 10 plus marks to be able to reach that target comfortably. So what will happen when you do the first 10 minutes? 3 things might happen. One thing that might happen would be that you get to 10 plus marks very comfortably. The second thing that could happen is that you just got to 10 plus marks, barely got to 10 plus marks in 10 minutes. The third thing that can happen is that you missed the 10 plus marks in the first go. And when the paper becomes tough, this would start happening. So when your first innings went only for 7 marks, for example, then you have to make sure that, okay, I mean, if this paper continues in this direction with the same difficulty level, I need to bring my slot down to 25, 30. I need to reduce my target to 30, at least 30 to banao mein, right? If I get a 10 in one place, I'll get to a 30, 31 score. Hota kya hai, what people do is they are targeting 40 and they are not able to adjust the target during the paper, and they're still going for 10 plus marks. And usme kya, this like I mean, I'll give you an analogy of a one-day cricket match. You know what happens in a one-day cricket match. You start a match, you want to score 350 runs, and after 10 overs, you are 30 for 3. So at that point, you start saying, okay, let me at least get to 250. If I continue playing as if I'm going for 350, तो पता चलेगा 150 पे all out हो जाओगे. Right? So then your strategy changes, the way you bat changes, the way you target your bowlers changes, the risks you take change. And you start saying, okay, let me at least get to this number so that I can at least make a fight for this. Right? On the other hand, if you're 80 for 0 after 10 overs, you might say, okay, let's if I continue this, who knows, I might cross this target also. So I mean, if you're batting first in a one-day cricket match, you don't know how many runs you need to score to win. So you have to base your estimate of how much you should score based on what's happening every 10, 15 overs. So similarly, what's happening every 10 minutes in your CAT paper should, in the quants paper, should keep telling you where you're heading to and whether you need to go through or not. So if I'm solving this paper, I would expect at least 15 marks in the first 10 minutes. At least 5 of the 6 questions, even under pressure, I should have been able to get through. And that means I'm heading to somewhere around 55, 60 marks in the paper. But and my second slot has started pretty well. My second 10 minutes has started pretty well because I've got question 8 and question 9 pretty simply without any. I mean, both these questions were basically only obeying instructions. There was no self-generated thought inside this, right? So we will come up with something on IPMAT. A lot of people are asking for IPMAT courses. The third one, I mean, this question requires a vision. I'll do this one first. Question 11 requires a specific vision. And this vision is that essentially what happens, you invest 4,000 in a bank at a certain rate of interest, compounded annually. So an annual compounding I'll look for these questions and I'll bring in some. I'm not going to be discussing specific queries inside this session, but I'm just taking screenshot of the questions that have come. I'll bring in some shots or some videos about answering these questions over the next few days on the channel. What to do if your scores are varying. I'll talk about that. But first of all, coming back to this question, essentially you have to realize that compound interest acts like a multiplier. And the way it acts like a multiplier, I mean, for example, a 10% rate of interest, compound interest, means your principal is multiplied by 11 by 10 every year. This is what it's meaning. So if it's 4 years, it will get multiplied by 11 by 10 4 times. So compound interest acts like a multiplier. So what they're saying is, so let's call that multiplier M here. And the ratio of the value of the investment after 3 years to the value of the investment after 5 years is 25 by 36. So we have to make sense of what this is saying, right? So principal into M into M into M divided by principal into M into M into M into M into M is equal to 25 by 36. Or if I take the reciprocal, I'll get principal into, if I take the reciprocal of this, I'll get P into M raised to 5 upon P into M cube is equal to 36 by 25. So that gives me that M square is equal to 6 by 5, is equal to 36 by 25. Because the P will cancel and M cube will cancel 3 of these M raised to 5s, and you're ending up with M square is equal to 36 by 25, which tells you that the multiplier is 6 by 5. It means the multiplier is 1.2. It means the rate of interest is 20%. And once you get that from here, after that, you just put it on the calculator. 4,000 multiplied by 1.2, keep multiplying it by 1.2 till it crosses 20,000. So you just have to see how many times. So ये calculator पे करोगे तो you will see, I think 9 times is the answer to this question. Can you guys check that? You do this 9 times, you'll get 4,000 going all the way to 20,000. Yeah, 9 times it crosses 20,000. So this part of the calculation, you leave it on the calculator, and hence the correct answer here is 9. Right? So I think the first question that tests some intelligence in this is question 10. But I'll come to that. But first, let's do question 7. Question 7 is also a nice question. It's based on similar triangles. And what question 7 is telling me is that, not question 8, sorry, question 7. What question 7 is telling us is that AB, BC, and AC are the sides of a triangle. Triangle ABC. The midpoints are M and P. These are the midpoints of ABC. The medians drawn from ABC intersect the line segments. So let's first draw the medians before we think of the intersection. So medians drawn from ABC. These 3 red ones are the medians. Unfortunately, inside the exam, you cannot do this coloring business. So these medians, what do? They intersect these three. The medians drawn from ABC intersect the line segments MP, MN, and NP at X, Y, and Z. So ABC has an area of 1440. What they're asking us is the area of XYZ. The area of this. So first of all, from the midpoint theorem, you should know that this triangle, first focus on this triangle. This triangle will be similar to this triangle, the original triangle, right? And every side of this triangle will be half of the side of the original triangle through the midpoint theorem. So MP will be half of BC. MN would be half of AC. And NP will be half of AB. So what you can work out is that the side lengths of M and P are half of ABC, and they are similar triangles. So if they are similar triangles and side lengths are halved, all the side lengths are halved, it means area of triangle MNP will be 1/4 of area of ABC. So ABC is 1440, so MNP becomes 360. Right? So this is the first reaction. Now, the next part you have to be able to see in this question is that this X and Y, X will be the midpoint of MP, Z will be the midpoint of NP, Y would be the midpoint of MN. Hence, XYZ will also be essentially XYZ is again a triangle which is similar to MNP, and all the sides are half the sides of MNP. So this side, half of that is this side. So once you realize that similar triangles and sides halved, it means the area of the triangle XYZ will be 1/4 the area of triangle MNP. So MNP, we had worked out area of triangle MNP as 360. So the area of XYZ would be 90. So hence the correct answer to this question is going to be 90. Right? So that's the trigger and reaction inside this question. And this is maybe the first question that challenges your thinking a bit in this paper. Otherwise, most of these questions have been triggers, reactions where you're just obeying instructions mostly. So if you look at this question, a certain amount of water is poured into a 300-liter container, and the remaining portion of the container was filled with milk. So they've not told us how much water and how much milk, but you know that water plus milk in the container is 300. So then they're saying an amount of this solution was taken out from the container, which was twice the volume of water that was earlier poured into it. So you are taking out 2W of this solution. Only water will not come out. It will be a mixture of milk and water. And you are then putting back, water is poured back to refill the container. So you are taking out some milk, some water, and then you're putting back water to refill the container. So 2W water is coming back in. Right? और इसका मैंने एक कॉन्सेप्चुअल वीडियो भी किया था कि हाउ डू यू थिंक इन दीज क्वेश्चंस. लुक इन द चैनल. यू विल फाइंड in the conceptual videos you'll find how to think in these questions. What they're saying is that the resulting solution contains 72% milk. So essentially, after this, and essentially what you have to realize in this question is that when you're taking out 2W milk, 2W of the mixture, the milk quantity or the percentage will drop. And it will not be incremented because you're only putting back water. So whatever milk percentage you had, it's dropping to 72%. Right? So it's dropping to 72%. And you just have to try to fit in. I mean, the equation here, of course, is that whatever milk quantity you had, that is getting decremented by this. But you actually don't need the equation here because you can try to fit in values. Ki, okay, if my water was, let's say, 20% and my milk was 80% to start with. So from this 100% of the mixture, I'm taking out double the water. So if water was 20%, I'm taking out 40% of the water of the mixture. And taking out 40% of the mixture will decrement my milk percentage also by 40%. And that will bring it down to 48%. So this is very clearly too much water you are assuming inside this. So if you do a bit of trial and error and you try to fit in 90% and 10% here, and you're taking out 20% of the mixture, 90% decayed by 20%, taking out 20% from 90% is going to give you 72%. So you should be able to spot that 72 itself is the big clue. कि 100 का अगर 90 है, उसमें 20% if you drop, you will get to 72. You also could have thought कि 80% से 10% drop will also give you 72. So that 72 number is critical in this question. And that means that originally you had 10% water and 90% milk. These kind of questions, you really cannot go through equations because if you go through equations, you will take a long time to solve them. And not only that, you'll get so frustrated during the solving that you will end up making mistakes in the solving. And when you go to the next question, this thing. So this is, I mean, if you try to think of what is the equation in this question, the milk reduction is this fraction. This is the multiplier in the milk. So if you think everything in percentages, this should end up at 72%. So you can clearly see that, and in this case, what is happening, although there's one equation, two unknowns, actually the milk is 100 minus W. So the equation is 100 minus W into 1 minus 2W by 100. This is the fraction being taken out, is equal to 72%. So actually there's only one equation. So if you can't see that value or value-based solving, if you cannot do, then you have got no option but to go through this through an equation. You will get a quadratic equation in W. तो mathematical question है, mathematics से solve तो हो ही जाएगा. But that solution will not really work in a timeline-based this thing. So I'm just assuming, okay, question 10, maybe a lot of you will not get in the exam, but otherwise you still should easily score maybe 9 marks at least. 3 of those 4 questions out of these 5 questions are pretty doable inside this, even if you don't get the 4 of them. So that brings us to the third innings. So if I'm in your place, I would typically be able to solve on a normal day. I would get all 5. On a bad day, I'll get 4 of these questions. In the first 6 questions, on a bad day, I'll get 4. On a normal day, I'll get 5. On a good day, I'll get 6. So I'm typically at a 15 mark point, and the next 5 questions I'm at 12 to 15 marks. So I'm already at the 20 mark minute point. I'm at 27 to 30 marks in the paper. There's absolutely no question of making silly errors if you're solving with your emotions in check. So my target of heading to 55 to 60 in this paper remains constant at this point because I'm able to do it easily. So I'm waiting for the third and fourth innings. ज़्यादा spin करेगा wicket, ज़्यादा तेज ball होने लगेगा तो I will reduce my target to 50, 45. But I'm now quite comfortable that in the next 6 questions, even if I get only 2 or 3, I'm still hitting close to 40. And then in the next 5 questions, even if I get 2, I'll get 45 plus. So that's how you keep checking what direction you're heading towards in terms of the score. Do this in your mocks also. So coming back, Gopi marks a price on a product in order to make 20% profit. So if the cost price is 100x, the market price becomes 120x. This is time and work. This is profit and loss. I'm not going to look at the other questions at this point because when I look at this question is something that I really don't want to go ahead and come back because this is straight and simple query. Very obvious that this is a straight trigger oriented question. So this is Gopi's cost price and mark price. Ravi gets 10% discount on this mark price. So Ravi's purchase price is 108x and thus saves 15 rupees. That means he's saving 12x and that 12x is 15 rupees. So the value of x comes out to be 1.25 rupees. That means we have got a cost price of 125. We know everything now. Question being asked is profit in rupees made by Gopi by selling the product to Ravi. The profit is 8x, selling price minus cost price. X is 1.25, 8 into 1.25, the profit is 10 rupees. So this question is done before I even check what the next 6 questions hold for me. Now I can go ahead and think of the next 6 questions, the next 5 questions. This looks like an average question, doable. This is also doable. This also seems doable. Time split distance. ये इसमें सोचना पड़ेगा क्या करना है इमीडिएटली. और ये चेन फंक्शन का क्वेश्चन है, सो ये भी डूएबल है. सो इसको अगर हम लोग दिस सेट, इफ आई जस्ट कंटिन्यू गोइंग one question at a time and I look at this next question. First reaction, the average of 3 distinct real numbers is 28. So I've got 3 distinct real numbers whose sum is 84. That's a basic reaction to the statement. If the smallest number is increased by 7 and the largest number is reduced by 10. So let's call these numbers A, B, C. The smallest number reduced by 7, increased by 7. So I've got A plus 7. The largest number reduced by 10. So I've got C minus 10 here. The order of the numbers remains unchanged. So I've got A plus 7, B and C minus 10 still in the same order. I've taken this in increasing order. That's why I'm doing C minus 10 here and A plus 7 here, because for me, A is the smallest number and C is the largest number. Please remember, this is 3 distinct real numbers. So they could be decimals, they could be negative also. And the new arithmetic mean becomes 2 more than the middle number. So the new arithmetic mean is B plus 2. Now, what you do, this is where the question opens up. What you have to understand is that from this 84, you're adding plus 7 and subtracting 10. Because on this number, you're adding 7, on this number, you're subtracting 10, on B, you're letting it be as it is. So in this scenario, the total is 81 for three numbers. So the average is 27, which means you get your middle number as 25 because this is two more than the middle number. So the middle number is 25 in both cases. So what I get is a plus c is equal to 59 from the first equation. I also get it from the second equation. A minus 3 is 56. So a plus c is 56. A plus c minus 3 is 56. So a plus c is 59. So I can get it from either place. And for the second equation, two equations are required for solving two unknowns. Difference between the largest and smallest numbers becomes 64. So you just need to be careful of the signs here. Difference between the largest and the smallest numbers is 64. So take your time in writing this. Don't make uh, uh, don't make stupid errors while doing this, and just open the brackets closely and easily. So c minus a is equal to 81. So a cancels out between these two. C's value comes out to be 70. That's the question being asked. Largest number in the original set of three numbers. That value is 70, and that's the correct answer. ठीक है? So this is the second one in this. This is also pretty standard. If you have solved 200 questions on permutation combination, you should get this. The previous question was also 150, 200 questions. I mean, LOD2 level, 200 questions on averages, you should be getting that question. If I look at this one, the number of all positive integers is up to 500 with non-repeating digits. So think about it as single digit numbers. There are 9 of them, which will all be counted. Two-digit numbers with non-repeating digits start from 1 to 9. So there are 9 ways of filling the first digit. And the second digit can be filled again in 9 ways because you can use 0 and any 8 of this which has not already been used. So there are 81 numbers with non-repeating digits in the two-digit numbers. In the three-digit numbers, think of, whenever you have in these kind of questions on permutation combination, whenever you have a slightly more complex count, rather than trying to do it in one shot, it's always better to break it down into clearly visualizable components. So three-digit numbers starting with 1. If I'm starting with 1, my second digit can be filled in 9 ways because I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't want to make a mistake, so I'm going to take my time doing this. So I cannot use 1 here. So my second digit can be filled in 9 ways. And whichever digit I use here, that one digit will get cancelled from here. Let's say I use a 3, then 3 will get cancelled. And my third digit will get filled in 8 ways. So there'll be 72 ways of numbers starting with 1, which have non-repeating digits. And this will be symmetrical. So 72, 72, 72. Don't try to do it at one go. You could have done it at one with 4 into 9 into 8. But I always prefer to expand the view into one particular case. And speed I'll get by symmetry. Okay, this is now symmetrical. Once I get that 72, I'm sure of that. I know that I have to multiply it by 4 because all these 4 cases are the same to each other. So try to avoid this because this will only help create mistakes and silly errors for me. So this is 288, this is 89, and that's 9. Don't forget to count this 9. The total answer comes out to be 378. Right? This session will remain uploaded. We will not be making it private. At least till CAT, we'll keep it uploaded. उसके बाद देखेंगे. उसके बाद भी शायद रहेगा. Or we might break it down into parts and release it again. So coming back, next question. In fact, ये question तो देख के मेरे को तो बहुत खुशी हुआ because मेरे time split distance. A lot of people keep saying a lot of crap about my books. Don't listen to them. because I can show you a question in my time split distance chapter that's been there for the last 10 years, in which not only is this question replicated, but it is actually the same numbers. It's actually the same numbers. If you had solved my time split distance LOD2, you'd know directly that the answer is 720. You would actually know that the answer is 720. कुछ करने का जरूरत ही नहीं है इस क्वेश्चन में, बिकॉज ये क्वेश्चन इस पे आई मीन आई थिंक मेरे मेरे बुक में LOD2 क्वेश्चन 4 या 5 देख लेना इस पर. एग्जैक्ट सेम क्वेश्चन विद द सेम नंबर्स. शिवाजी हाउस ऑफ पेशवाज, उस तरह का कुछ क्वेश्चन है, आई रिमेम्बर करेक्टली. सो इसमें इक्वेशन क्या है, इसमें द थिंकिंग स्ट्रक्चर इज ही travels a certain distance at a uniform speed. So we'll take some time to travel this distance. So some speed, some time to travel the distance. Had the speed been 6 kilometers per hour more, s plus 6, it would have needed 4 hours less. So t minus 4 is the same distance. And had the speed been 6 kilometers per hour less, that means s minus 6 into, it would have needed 6 hours more into t plus 6. This is the same distance. So essentially, whatever the distance is, it should have 3 factors, s, s minus 6, and s plus 6, which are 6 apart from each other. And parallelly, they should give you 3 more factors. Parallel, these pair factors, t minus 4, t, and t plus 6. So if you check the numbers and the factors, 720 is the only number that gives you those values. Because at 720, 30 into 24, 36 into 20. There's no way you can solve this question mathematically in any reasonable time frame. कहने को तो solve हो जाएगा. 3 equations से 3 unknowns हैं. S into t equals d. This is also d. This is also d. 3 equations, 3 unknowns. So mathematically you can solve it, because mathematics says that if there are 3 equations, there'll be 3. You require 3 and 3. If there are 3 unknowns, you require 3 equations. So you can solve it, I mean, but the amount of writing and the tediousness that'll go, it's not even worth it going that direction. You can see 24 into 30. You can see time 24 reduces by 4 when speed goes up by 6, increases by 6 when speed comes down by 6. So 720 is the straight answer to this question, right? And then question 16 requires you to think out of the box a bit, because you have to think about logs inside this question, which is not evident when you pick up this trigger. So what you need to do is, they're telling you 3 raised to a is equal to 4. It means the value of a is log 4 to the base 3. This is the definition of logs. The value of b is log 5 to the base 4. The value of c is log 6 to the base 5. The value of d is log 7. D is from here. So log 7 to the base 6. The value of e is going to come from here. So the value of e is log 8 to the base 7. And the value of f is going to come from here. The value of f is log 9 to the base 8. So when you want the product of a, b, c, d, f, you're multiplying log 4 to the base 3 into log 5 to the base 4. So you have to understand this, or you should be able to visualize this. Log 4 to the base 3 can also be written as log 4 upon log 3. And log 5 to the base 4 can be written as log 5 upon log 4. Using the base change rule, c is this, so it can be written as log 6 upon log 5. And there's also a very common structure in the logs chapter. This chain that builds up and keeps cancelling things out. So this will get cancelled from here. This will get cancelled from here. This gets cancelled from here. Log 8 upon log 7 is the value of E. So this gets cancelled from here. And the value of F is log 9 upon log 8. So this will also get cancelled. So what you are left with is only two components which are not cancelled. That's log 9 here and log 3 here. So you end up with a structure here which is telling you that the answer is log 9 upon log 3. And log 9 is 2 log 3 and log 3 is log 3. So this will cancel out and hence the answer will become 2. So the answer is 2 here. Right? Yash is giving a different solution. We could substitute the values of 4, 5 in the next equations. Yeah, this is the CAT 24 slot 3 paper that I'm doing. It's on top of the PPD. Right? So we go ahead and move on to question 17, the last question of this sort of 6 questions. T1 is equal to 1. T2 is equal to -1. And Tn is equal to n minus 3 upon n minus 1 into Tn minus 2 for n greater than or equal to 3. So this is a chain function where T3 depends on T1, T4 depends on T2, T5 depends on T3, and so on. Right? So this is a chain function. Chain functions questions are very, very critical in the exam. And when you look at this expression, they're asking you the value of T2, 1 by T2 plus 1 by T4. So the reciprocals, yeah, the session will be available. So the reciprocals of T2, T4, T6 up to T2024. So T2 we already know as -1. So let's focus on getting T4. We don't want to go to T3. From this trigger, we know that we don't want to go to T3. So let's go to T4. The value of T4 with n is 4 will become 1 upon 3 into T2. T2 is -1. So into -1 gives me a value of -1 by 3. So when I'm taking the reciprocal of 1 by T2, that value is -1. And 1 by T4 is 1 upon -1 by 3, which is going to be -3. 1 upon -1 by 3 is going to be -3. So my expression here is -1, -3. Now I want to confirm now very clearly in these chain function questions, if they had asked you only till T8, for example, then you say that, okay, it's a calculation-based question. But when they're going to T2024, asking it in an aptitude exam, it's very clear a pattern-based question. So you're looking for the pattern, what's happening in this pattern. So when you go for T6, you put n equals 6 here. And you put n equals 6 here and you put n equals 6 here. So T6 is equal to 3 by 5 T4. And T4 we had got as -1 by 3. So when I put -1 by 3 here, the 3 cancels and T6 is coming out as -1 by 5. If T6 is -1 by 5, the reciprocal of T6 will be -5. So at this point, I should realize that, okay, this is just one digit less than the value of n and a negative value of that. So that means this is going to go all the way to 2023. And you want the sum of this. So this is an arithmetic progression with 1012 terms. You can find out the number of terms using difference between first and last term, 2022. Divide by common difference. If you just think of this as 1 plus 3 plus 5 up to 2023, this will make it easier for you to think for the sum. So difference between the first and last is 2022 divided by 2 plus 1. There's logic I talk about, d by d plus 1. That's the number of terms. D is the difference between first and last. Small d is the common difference. For now, finding out number of terms in an arithmetic progression, use this logic. So this will tell you that there are 1012 terms in this series, and the average of the terms is the average of the first and last term, which is 2024 by 2, which is also 1012. So the answer is the negative value of the square of 1012, right? And the square of 1012, you can put it on the calculator. This is the value. Anyway, you can just do it on the unit digit also. This is going to be the answer, because these unit digits will not correspond to the multiplication you're doing. Right? So this is question 17. So pretty, I mean, if I'm solving, I would typically be at the 45 mark point here. Of course, these days I take the CAT, but I don't solve it for maximizing my score, because I don't want to affect the percentiles of everybody. So इसलिए मैं high school मतलब absolute best नहीं देता हूँ exam के अंदर. I just go in and solve so that I get a feel of what I have experienced as a trainer, so that I can talk about it when I come out. That is a mandatory requirement for me. Otherwise, जब मैं कैट नहीं देता हूँ तो मैं अगर आके शाम को बोलो कैट कैसा था तो मेरे को सेकेंड हैंड एक्सपीरियंस से पता नहीं चलता है. लेकिन at the same time I make sure that I don't distort the percentile calculations of the students. So coming back, so I'm happy with the respectable 99.995 percentile, but I don't actually go to that next 30 marks inside the exam. So coming back, ये वाला question में, this is a good question. So again, in my last 5 questions, last 5 minutes, this seems very simple. Question 19. इसका भी standard structure है. We'll come to that. Octagon sides of length 6 centimeters seems doable, and this also seems doable. So let's focus on, maybe this is the easiest question here, question 19. So let's focus on this one first. Let's focus on this one first. Rajesh and Vimal own 20 hectares and 30 hectares of agricultural land, respectively, which was entirely covered by wheat and mustard. So Rajesh has wheat and mustard. Vimal has wheat and mustard. The cultivation area of wheat and mustard in the land owned by Vimal is in the ratio 5:3. So now this is a standard ratio structure. You should be able to work out that 30 is 8x, so 5x is wheat and 3x is mustard. So you should be able to work out 18.75 wheat, because the multiplier here is 3.75. So 5 into 3.75 and 3 into 3.75, 11.25 mustard. This is on Vimal's land. And then they tell us that the total cultivation area of wheat and mustard are in the ratio 11:9. So total cultivation area means in the 50 hectares, wheat and mustard is in the ratio 11:9. So 20 parts, 50, each part is 2.5. So 11 to 2.5, the total wheat is 27.5. The total mustard will be 22.5. So question is asked is ratio of cultivation area of wheat and mustard in the land owned by Rajesh. So we need to find this and find the ratio of that. So it's pretty simple. This value will come from this minus this. So if I add 0.75, I get to 19.5 and then 8. So this is 8.75 wheat. And obviously the remaining will be mustard. I can get mustard from 20 minus 8.75, which is 11.25. And if I use a multiplier 4 on this, this is going to be 35:45 to get rid of the decimals. And 35:45 gives me 7:9. Option B is the right answer. And that's the correct answer here. So this is the first question in this set. Let's bite the bullet and do this question. This question requires a bit of understanding, और ये trigger reaction intake कर लो अपने thinking में. There are two parts in this. They are asking us number of distinct real values of x satisfying this equation. So you have to think of this equation from two angles. One is the left-hand side, and the second is the right-hand side. So when you look at the left-hand side is telling us if I expand this or rewrite this for better understanding, what is it doing? It is choosing the maximum between x and 2 and the minimum between x and 2. So if you stay a bit 5 seconds on this, you will realize that this would depend on whether x is greater than 2 or x is less than 2. At x equals 2, this will become 2 minus 2, which is 0. So we're not bothered much about that. I should know that at x equals 2, it will become 0. But if when x is greater than 2, when x is greater than 2, then this will choose x and this will choose 2. So the expression is x minus 2 on the left-hand side. And when x is less than 2, when x is less than 2, the first part, when x is less than 2, the first part will choose 2 and the second part will choose the smaller value, which is x. So that's the analysis of the left-hand side. Now you come to the analysis of the right-hand side. When you do the analysis of the right-hand side, you got mod x minus 2 minus mod x minus 2. So since I have a natural reaction, okay, the left-hand side is dependent on whether x is greater than 2 or less than 2. On my number line, I have this natural structure that, okay, I want to analyze what happens to the right-hand side when I go for x greater than 2. So when I go for x greater than 2, if x is 2 plus, it means this part of the modulus is positive and this part of the modulus is also positive. So they'll open up only as x plus 2 minus x minus 2. Which means that the value of the right-hand side, when x is more than 2, is going to be constant at 4. And once you get that analysis or that reaction, you can check it if you're not so confident. At x equals 3, I've got 5 minus 1. At x equals 5, I've got 7. If I put x equals 5 here, I've got 3. So this is clean. That when x is greater than 2, the right-hand side is 4. And when x is greater than 2, the left-hand side is x minus 2. So x minus 2 equals 4 gives me a solution of x equals 6. So when x is greater than 2, I've got one solution at 6 where LHS and RHS match. And there's only one solution. Now I need to analyze when x is less than 2. When I think of x less than 2, when x is less than 2, this part will become negative always. So the modulus removing will get removed using a minus sign. But this part can be positive or negative, both. So whether we want to open it as x plus 2 or minus x minus 2 will depend on what value of x we are taking. So then we get a natural structure that for on this number line all the way to minus 2, this will still be positive and this will be negative. This bracket, this modulus, inside this modulus, we are going to get a negative value. Inside this modulus, we are going to get a positive value. So we realize that the analysis for minus 2 to 2 will be different from the analysis from minus 2 to the left. The left-hand side for x less than 2, the left-hand side is always 2 minus x. So my thinking here is 2 minus x is equal to when x is between minus 2 to plus 2. 2 minus x is equal to x plus 2, because this is opening up as positive, so you just open up as it is, and minus 2 minus x, because this is going to be negative, so modulus reverses the sign. So this ends up as x plus 2. Be very careful, do an extra step if required. Be very careful of not making any sign change, sign mistakes. You get 2 minus x equals 2x. So 2 is equal to 3x, and x is equal to 2 by 3. X is equal to 2 by 3. And you can check at x equals 2 by 3, you get LHS equals RHS. And this 2 by 3 lies in this range. So we have a second solution of x equals 2 by 3, which also works. So one solution we got as x equals 6. The second solution we've got as x equals 2 by 3. Now we need to check further whether there's another solution at after minus 2. To the left of this. The LHS is going to be 2 minus x. I need to understand what the RHS will be in that case. हाँ, ये क्वेश्चन मतलब इस पेपर में तो you have 20 easier questions definitely. So x less than minus 2 है तो ये नेगेटिव है और ये भी नेगेटिव है. So when you open the bracket, the modulus, this is going to open as minus x minus 2, and this is going to open as minus 2 minus x. So minus x minus 2 plus x. I typically advise people that in these kind of situations, I mean, normally I'm the first person who will say that you skip this step and write that directly. Lekin, there's a lot of scope of stupid errors inside these situations. Isliye, even if I'm solving for myself, I go a bit slower. I don't want to make a stupid error and come back with egg on my face. So I get the value as minus 4. The right hand side is minus 4 constant here after minus 2. And once I get that analysis, I can actually check what happens at, let's say, minus 3. At minus 3, this is minus 1, so that's 1. And this is minus 5, so that's 5. So 1 minus 5 gives me minus 4. So this gets confirmed that this analysis is fine. So my final part of this is to see whether there's a value of x in this range. So 2 minus x is equal to minus 4 ends up giving me x is equal to 6. But x is equal to 6 is not in this range. So there's no solution for x in this range. And hence you close with 2. The question is number of distinct values of x. So there are only 2, 6 and 2 by 3. There are 2 values. So that's question 18. So we've done 19 already. Let's do 20. And this is the standard trigger. The trigger here is fx plus 2 times f of 1 by x. Whenever the argument is reciprocal of each other, the standard reaction is to write x as 1 by x in the second equation. This becomes the equation. When you make the argument as 1 by x instead of x here, this argument becomes x, and hence this becomes 3 by x. And you can multiply the second equation by 2 to eliminate f1 by x. You'll have 2 times f1 by x plus 4 times fx is equal to 6 by x. And then you subtract this minus this, the first equation and the third equation. You do 1 minus 3. You do 1 minus 3. And when you do that, this minus this, you will see that this minus this, you will see that this cancels out. Actually, ulta. You want to do 3 minus 1. Because you don't want to, you want to avoid the negatives. So this minus this, the 2 f1 by x cancels out. You get 3 times fx is equal to 6 by x minus 3x. Now, what is the question asking? The sum of all possible values of x for which fx is equal to 3. So if I divide by 3 right through, fx's value is 2 by x minus x. And I want fx to be equal to 3. So I get an outcome of 2 minus x square is equal to 3x. And that's the value of fx. And that gives me x square plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation whose sum of roots, all values of x at which fx is equal to 2 by x minus x is equal to 3 satisfied, will be the sum of roots of this equation, and that's minus 3. So B minus 3 is the correct answer here. So that's this question. And then you go to the next one. This is an octagon-based question, a regular octagon. A regular octagon is something that looks like this. I'm trying to draw it as correctly as possible. Not exactly, but yeah. So we can just think of a regular octagon, something like this. So what this is saying has length of side 6 centimeter each. So 6 centimeter each. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Then the area in square centimeters of the square ACEG. So we have to draw the square or visualize the square ACEG. So this is a square. They want the area of the square. They want us to find the area of the square. So this is not a skippable question because this is straight actually. First of all, you should realize that this is 135 degrees. Right? That's what you have to realize. And how do you realize that? Two ways you can realize that. The sum of all the angles is n minus 2 into 180. N is 8 here. So 6 into 180. So 1080 is the total angles of an octagon. And it's a regular octagon. Regular octagon has all sides and all angles equal. So divide this by 8. You'll get the interior angle as 135. Right? Or you can do it from the exterior angle. The other formula is 360 by n. For a regular octagon, a regular polygon of n sides, the exterior angle of the polygon is given by 360 by n. So with n is 8, the exterior angle of this regular polygon will be 45 degrees each. If the exterior angle is 45, the interior angle will be 135. Because the interior angle plus exterior angle will always be 180. And so essentially, we want the value. If this is a, I want the value of a square because the area of the square is a square. So you really don't need to do this is your 30, 60, 90 triangles, etc. not working here. So you'll have to use the cosine rule. And that is a square is equal to 6 square plus 6 square plus 2ab, 2 into 6 into 6 cos 135. So this will be 72 plus 72. Sorry, minus over here. 1 second. The cosine rule is this will be minus. So this will be 2 into 6 into 6, that is minus the value of a square. And since the area of the square is known, is required, we don't need the value of a, we actually need the value of a square. So the answer will come out of this only. So 72 minus 72 and cos 135 is basically the value of cos 45. And in the second quadrant, the value of cos 45 is 1 by root 2. In the second quadrant, cos is negative. So this is going to be minus 1 by root 2. So this value is going to be 72 plus, or this is going to be minus 1 by root 2. So the minus minus will become plus. So this is going to be 36 root 2. So the answer is going to be 36 into 2 plus root 2. So option C is the right answer there. So कोसाइन रूल क्या होता है किसी भी एंगल, किसी भी ट्रायंगल में? A square is equal to B square plus C square minus 2BC cos A. This is the cosine rule. तो साइन रूल कोसाइन रूल दोनों को रिवाइज कर लेना, दैट्स इंपॉर्टेंट. तो दैट्स डी नहीं होगा तो सौरभ, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी बी, सी. द आंसर इज सी हियर. अभी तो मैं थोड़ी देर पहले बता रहा था, ये क्वेश्चन एग्जैक्टली सेम डेटा सेम नंबर्स के साथ मेरे बुक में है. So, I mean, please take industry people's word of this thing. When somebody who does not have a business interest in CAT, when he or she tells you that the book is outdated, please take it with seriousness. But when somebody with a business interest says that, then yeah, with somebody who's being paid by that is saying that, then I mean, it's something that you should take with not just a pinch of salt, but dollops of salt. The book, I mean, I always look at the book as something that if you've solved the book completely, you should have most of the triggers and reactions that the cat will throw at you, and it does do that, right? And I make sure that every year I revise it. पहले 2 साल का रिवीजन साइकिल था, अब उसको हम लोग ने वन ईयर रिवीजन साइकिल कर दिया है. अब बुक में वीडियोस भी आ गए हैं, बिकम कोर्स वेयर, सो यू डोंट नीड टू बॉदर अबाउट दैट पार्ट. इट्स माय प्रेरोगेटिव to make sure that the book questions are updated. So ये question में, this is the last question for this paper. And if in this question, if I take 10 raised to x as a, so this becomes a plus 4 by a is equal to 81 by 2. So this ends up as a square minus 81 by 2a plus 4 is equal to 0. Right? Now, once you start solving this, sorry, I think there's a typing error in this question. This is not 81 by 2. This should be 8.5. So you get a plus 4 by a is equal to 17 by 2. And that gives you a square minus 17 by 2a plus 4 is equal to 0. Or 2a square minus 17a plus 8 is equal to 0. So if you solve this quadratic equation, you get two values for A. A is equal to 8 or A equals half. You can solve this either through trying to factorize it or simply using the quadratic formula minus b, 17 plus minus under root b square 289 minus 4ac, 4 into 2 into 8 upon 2a, which is 4. So 17 plus minus root 225, which is 15 upon 4. So 32 by 4, which is 8, or 2 by 4, which is half. The question is asking us the sum of all distinct real values of x. Now a is 8. Now what we had done was we had assumed a as 10 raised to x. So we have two solutions. 10 raised to x is 8, which means x is equal to, now since the options are in logs, it's a clear indication to take this into logs using the definition of logs. So x is equal to log 8 to the base 10 in this case. And when I use this, so this is also equal to, since this is all in log 2 terms, so this is very clear that I want to take it to log 2 to the base 10. So 8 is 2 cube. So this will be 3 log 2 to the base 10. That's the value of x. That's one value of x. And the second value of x I'll get from here. So 10 raised to x is equal to half, means x is equal to log half to the base 10. Now log half to the base 10 is log 1 to the base 10 minus log 2 to the base 10. And log 1 to the base 10 is equal to 0. So the outcome is log 2 minus log 2 to the base 10. So the value of x is either this or minus log 2 to the base 10. So the sum of all these values, the sum of all distinct real values of x is 2 log 2 to the base 10. Option A is the right answer. So this is how you attempt this paper. These are the triggers and reactions in this paper. I hope you guys 81 by 2 नहीं 8.5 है वो ऋतुराज. यहाँ पे the value is 8.5. I checked the original paper. बहुत जगह ये 81 by 2 टाइप हुआ है. So just make sure that you use it as 8.5 there. Chalo, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll come back live for more things. Do subscribe to the channel if you have not, and bye bye for now. Thank you so much. I'll take a screenshot of the queries and maybe I'll make some videos about the queries that you have. I'll talk about the books also. और अगर तुम लोग और कोई questions पूछना है मेरे से तो you put it on the chat on the comments of this video, and we'll be more than happy to solve this for you. Thank you so much.